sees the good in me and calls me a child of the one true King. Whoa, His grace has forgiven me.
I'm Josh Kuipers. I'm the Director of Worship at Northwestern College, and we live here in Sioux Center, Iowa.
Yeah, and I'm Lindsay. I teach 8th grade over at the middle school. We have one adopted daughter.
The world might call you worthless. Don't you know you have a purpose?
When I think about our family and I think about adoption, there's one picture that I love to come back to, and it came just a couple weeks before Josh and I were married, and we were at worship here in Sioux Center. And Josh was playing, and I was just sitting and just listening and preparing for our wedding to come in the next couple weeks. And the Lord just downloaded this image for me. And in this picture, there was Josh and there was me, and we were standing hand in hand. And then alongside of us were just rows and rows of kids. And we all just stood together, and we were standing for the gates of hell. And I just felt like the Spirit said in that moment that, first of all, not all of these kids are going to come to your family biologically. And I love that, because when I think about the kingdom, I think it's going to look like that. Like the diversity and the color and all the different nations and people coming together into one. And I want to reflect that in our family. And I felt like the Spirit said, like, that's where the power is, in your family. And so when you go forward in that calling and who I've designed you to be and who I'm designing you to be, that's what's going to conquer the gates of hell. And it was so cool, because a couple weeks after that picture came to me at church, there was a song released by the United Pursuit Band called what was it called?
Take Back?
Yeah, there was a song by the United Pursuit Band called Take Back. And it talked in there, the first verse, which really caught us, is it talks about with the wind at our back, or the wind in our sails, that's what I'm going to send you forth in. And that was a word that Josh and I actually got spoken over our marriage right before we were engaged. I think that the Lord was just telling us, the word that I have for you is to have your sails up and be ready. And so that's always kind of been what we fall back to when we're thinking about adoption and foster care, that He's already given us the go. He's just waiting for our yes.
The world might call you worthless. Don't you know you have a purpose?
Josh and I actually met a couple months before I left for Guatemala, and we got coffee once, and it was great, and it was deep, and then I left. And we talked a little bit here and there, and shared some stories and experiences, and just really developed a friendship. And then when I was coming home from Guatemala, I thought, well, this is great. We've really started to build a foundation. Let's get together. Let's have coffee. Let's talk.
And then I wimped out and no-showed a couple days.
Yeah, and it just never happened. It just never happened.
Yeah.
We tried once, and it didn't work. And we tried again, didn't work. Tried a third time, didn't work. And I remember thinking that night, well, if it's going to happen, the Lord's just going to have to make it happen. And we really just stopped talking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like a year.
Yeah, for an entire year, just didn't really talk, didn't follow each other, completely just shut that door.
You didn't follow me? Like on Facebook? You stopped following me? Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that's what you meant.
Like, I didn't go check out your Facebook page or anything.
Okay.
But and there wasn't even any hostility. It was just like the door closed, right? So there wasn't any anger, there wasn't any hostility, wasn't any hurt feelings. It was just over. But then a year later, I was laying in bed one night, and it'd been a night where I just had this gut feeling that the Lord was going to do something big. And I remember laying in bed I just can't sleep. It's 3 a.m. I go to bed at 8:30. But laying in bed and thinking, what is going on? Holy Spirit, I know you're doing something. I can feel you healing places in my heart that I didn't even know needed to be healed, and trying to speak something, but I'm not getting it. So I'm just going to lay here awake. And then about 2 or 3 a.m, I got a text message, and it was from Josh.
That late?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
super late.
Anyway.
It was about 2 or 3 a.m, and I got a text message, and I looked at my phone, and it said it was from Josh. And all it said is Jesus keeping you up tonight? And so I emailed him back and I said, yeah, he is. I just don't know what's going on. And talked a little bit about where we were. And he said, well, I'd love to get coffee sometime and talk about it. And so the rest of our love story is just kind of a story in itself. But yeah, it went fast and we didn't waste a lot of time. And I think it was our second date, our second time we were together. We sat on the front steps of the house I was living in and kind of laid out, this is who I am and this is what my dreams are and my vision is. And we both had a desire. We'd come out of hard relationships and didn't have this desire to have a prolonged dating period of trying things out. And we really just laid it before the Lord of, God, tell us if this is it. And if we're supposed to get married, tell us quick and let's just do it. And if we're not, then let's not pursue, let's not waste this time, let's not put our hearts on the line. And the Lord completely 100% honored that. And it was that conversation on the front steps where we talked about, Josh, I'm going to adapt. Like, my heart is for the nations and my heart is for the kids of the nations. And if we're really putting this before the Lord and if we're really asking him to confirm or decline, like, this is a deal breaker for me. It's not just a little dream I have, it's who I am. Mm-hmm. And I felt like there was just no hesitancy.
Yeah, that was an easy answer to give.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so I felt like because the Lord had already been cultivated in Josh's heart and for so long been cultivated in mine, that when it came to that moment, he was able to just say yes, and I was able to have this peace to just move forward. And then there was a couple months later, just this moment where I felt like, I don't know, Jesus, like, you've been cultivating this in my heart for so long, and can he really be there? Can he really be ready? And I was like thinking this and walking out of church one Sunday afternoon, and I got a text message, like, as I was having this conversation with the Lord, of Josh saying, hey, I just got asked to lead this purse for orphans and human trafficking, and I'm really excited to take it. So I even felt like right there, like, it never had to be a conversation between Josh and I of I'm not sure if you're ready or trying to get on the same page. Like, the Lord did it. Like, the Lord did my heart and the Lord did his heart, and it's never been an instance of me trying to pull him along or Josh trying to pull me along. I just love that. It's my favorite thing about our story, that he's always 100% aligned us.
Christ shed his blood and set me free to make me his treasure.
All right, so we started foster care last January, and about a month in, I got a call for a little girl who's about 4 or 5 months old, that needed a place to stay for the weekend. She was in foster care and she had a feeding tube, and so they're having a little bit of trouble finding a family that was willing to take that on. It's kind of intimidating. So I just said yes right away. I was like, a baby? Yeah, we'll take care of a baby. That sounds great. We'll figure the feeding tube out. And so she showed up a few days later on our doorstep, and that's when I realized that I had forgotten to tell Lindsay that the baby had a feeding tube. but her foster mom showed us how to do it. And it was a little intimidating, but we instantly fell in love. You know, feeding tube aside, all the medications aside, we honestly, right from the beginning, knew in our heart of hearts that this was our little girl. Had no idea how that would work out. So after the weekend, I called up her social worker. I figured out who her social worker was. And then I called her up and left a message and say, hey, we're new to this. I have no idea if this is appropriate, but if Diamond comes up for adoption, we want to be considered for that. And she called me back. She's like, yep, we've actually got court to decide that this week. So we'll call you back next week and let you know. So we were pretty blessed in that way. A lot of times adoption stories are not quick, easy answers. It's long and drawn out.
Yeah, for sure. And when it came to adoption, when it came to Diamond's adoption, that was pretty unexpected. When we pursued our foster care license, in fact, we weren't going to put on our application that we were willing to adopt through foster care. And we just had a social worker who said, you know, just put it on there. It'll save you time in the long run. And so we're super thankful for that. But we were in a season where we knew that adoption was on our heart, and we were ready to grow our family. And so we just asked the Lord, how do you want to do it? What's your first choice? Like, are we supposed to have bio kids first? Do we go straight to adoption? Are we supposed to spend some time foster caring? And we just felt like the Lord said, throw your nets wide. And so that's what we did. We pursued our foster care license, we started our home study, and we took steps to have biological children. And a couple months in, we just felt like, it's not going to be bio, that the Lord had something in our hearts that He wanted an adopted child to be the first choice. He said, it's all my first choice, but I feel like this child is going to need to know that they were your first choice. And so we kind of had in our minds that we would adopt domestically, just through the United States, of an infant, and then met Diamond and put everything on hold.
Yeah, we had started the process, done the home studies, all of that. But then Diamond came along. And
I remember when Diamond walked through the door and Josh said, "Oh, she's a beautiful one, isn't she?" And her foster mom said, yeah, she really is. And just holding her for the first time, it just felt right. And I know that's a huge fear of a lot of people. Can I love this child as much as I would love my own bio kids? And the answer is yes. Like, the moment I first held Diamond, I just knew in my heart of hearts, like, this is my daughter, and I'm going to be your mom, and I will fight for you fiercely, and I'll protect you if the Lord gives me the honor and privilege to be your advocate and your warrior. And He just does that.
Yeah. I remember feeling like, do I need to kind of be careful with my heart? Because what if this doesn't happen? This is all very preliminary, but I just couldn't help it. Yeah. And I tried on the outside to be like, nope, we can't let ourselves get too attached. But the Lord knit our hearts together very, very quickly. And so like Lindsay said, pretty much from the moment she walked in the door, it was a done deal in our hearts.
Yeah, and we're excited for that to happen again. So Diamond's been with us for a year, and she'll be about 2 in October. And so we've always just had this desire, even for our kids to be close in age, that there would be just that bond of siblings. And so as Diamond was starting to get closer to the age of 2, we started to think again, okay, what's next? And we're really eager for her to have a brother or a sister who's going to share that piece of her story, that piece of the loss of a birth family and that birth identity, but also just the gain and the celebration of being adopted, of being chosen forever by a forever family. And so we decided through our second adoption to also, for our second child, to also do an adoption. And this time we're going through the domestic route, just since it's a little more secure than foster care adoption can sometimes be. But so we're in the process of adopting our second child and really just asking ourselves, what's it all about? Is it about growing our family, or is it about more than that? And I felt like this has been a place where the Lord has really been stirring our hearts and growing our perspective, that we are so excited to have another child. We're so excited for Diamond to have a brother or sister. We're so excited for her to have someone to share a story with. But more than that, we're excited for the opportunity to be part of what God is doing in birth moms. We're excited to be holy and ethically pro-life. We're excited to walk with someone through every season and step of that journey. We're excited to restore dignity to birth moms and to give a woman who feels like she has no choice a choice. And I always come back to the thought of, I want to live in a world where abortion isn't needed and necessary, but we're not there yet. And so if we can be the people that help rewrite a life story and give choice and dignity to a birth mom, then that's a mess I want to be in.
If you're going through the mountains, if you're going through the darkness.
And when I think about our story and my biggest hope for it is that it puts the Lord on display and that it encourages others to do the same. Because when it comes down to it, that's already true, right? The gospel has already said, care for the orphan and the widow. And so that desire and that call is already on your life. And I know it looks different for all of us. If it looks like adoption or it looks like foster care or whatever it might be, I know it looks different. But if you feel the nudge, He's just waiting for you to say yes.